We embarked on this book. We were both reporters at the Times, and we had done almost daily stories on this takeover. And we were still finding that we couldn't get all of our reporting into these stories. Just insane details. One day we heard, he cut janitorial services. There was no more toilet paper in the bathroom. Like one day he wasn't paying rent. And we just felt like there had to be a bigger kind of place to put these anecdotes and these pieces together. The Isaacson book was good for Elon's perspective and telling his side of the story.
And he cooperated.
And he cooperated for, I think, 2 years. And we use that as a resource. It's good to have that and see that and see what Elon wants to have out there, essentially. This part of the book is for the other side, for the employees, for the executives that he might have screwed over. That kind of perspective. We talked to more than 100 people for this book. And I think we did it justice. So, yeah.
He's somebody who so clearly seems stretched thin. He has all of these businesses that he's either founded or got majority stakes and then taken over. And he would want me to say that, not say that. But I'm kind of curious of how involved he is in the day-to-day at this stage. So obviously I see him tweeting all the time. He's still doing that, but you mentioned cutting janitorial services. Does he have any kind of managerial apparatus around him? What is the kind of Elon Musk enterprise like? Either of you can take that, but
He really likes to keep it small. He really likes to be involved in the details, and there's so many moments that we came across in reporting the book where we were just kind of shocked, honestly, by the level of detail he wanted to be involved with things. I mean, there was a point where he's taking out or putting in an Oxford comma and something, and I
some
think
of the ad copy,
yeah, and complaining about the comma use in the copy that's going to go in the App Store, and arguing over pixel placement on the screen and, the way the metrics, the retweets, the likes are going to look. He's so involved in every little detail. And so I think
Is that a bad thing, though, necessarily? Like, you think about some of the tech disruptors, innovators, right? That they're so involved in how something looks and how it's packaged and how it goes out.
At SpaceX and at Tesla, there's
and at SpaceX, you're shooting people up into, or, missiles and rockets, and you want to make sure you get it right.
And he's hired this pretty robust ecosystem around him at those places. And what we've heard from people there is, he'll dip in. If there's a problem, he'll take care of it very intensely, and then he'll leave. And it kind of operates on its own. Twitter was not built that way. These were not his people. These were not people he trusted. In fact, he thought a lot of them were corrupt or inept. And that's why he started to cut. But he didn't have that system around him. So he kind of hyper-focused on this problem and kind of made it worse for him as he kind of got stuck in the details.
Kate, you brought this up a minute ago, and that is this is a company that had a lot of problems before he took over. Why was that the case? Like, if you look at it in complement with Facebook or other sites, why did it stall out? It seemed to stagnate and stall out in terms of advertiser money and growth. Is that strictly a managerial issue? What accounts for it? What left it in the kind of state it was in when he took it over?
I think there's a couple of things. I think one of the things that held Twitter back from sort of growing at a Facebook level rate is that Twitter always kind of tried to be more privacy protective for its users, more open to different types of speech. And, advertisers are skittish about that. They don't want to be placed alongside some of these famous harassment campaigns that Twitter had back in the day.
It's gotten much better.
It's, it's always a struggle.
I mean, Twitter famously allows porn.
Right. They allow adult
Facebook.
content, and they also wanted to protect user privacy, and so they did a lot less ad targeting than Facebook did, and so advertisers didn't find it as valuable. But I think over time, we also saw Jack Dorsey, one of the co-founders and the CEO for a long time, become really disillusioned with the business side altogether and just kind of throw up his hands and walk away from it a little bit. And so, I think the company suffered at that point from neglect, and, it got into a position where it was ripe for a takeover like this.
What was going on, Kate, behind the scenes when, of course, Elon came out, like he was secretly buying shares, made the offer, and then was very quick about well, maybe I'm not so interested, right? And then there was legal action. And eventually Twitter was kind of basically forced the deal. Did they have to at that point? And you talk about the business was not great anyway, right? Did they kind of almost have no choice? What was going on behind the scenes? Why they forced it?
Yeah, so when Elon first came into the stock, there was this big effort among the executives and the board to sort of bring him into the fold, get him a seat on the board. And so he has this crazy meeting where he flew out to San Jose and they rented an Airbnb. And that it's him and Parag Agrawal, was the CEO at the time, and Brett Taylor.
There's donkeys around there.
Right, they're like sitting down to this weird dinner in this Airbnb next to the airport. So they tried really hard to bring him into the fold. And that, it didn't work. He likes to be in total control. And then, it's this really heartbreaking decision, I think, that certainly the board struggled with and a lot of the executives struggled with, of needing to sell, being sort of forced to sell. They had to do right by their shareholders, but thinking, do we really have to sell to this guy?